Hi there, wonderful awakening beings and spiritual souls. Jo Rose of JoRose.com, numerologist and energy forecaster. In this video, I'm sharing with you expression number 7. Now, some numerologists refer to the expression number as the destiny number, but I'm here to tell you they're both the same. To understand how to calculate your expression number, I have a video, so do go and check that out in the link below. We use the name on the birth certificate or the adoption certificate. Many people come to me and they say to me, my life path is this, what type of career do you recommend is good for me? Now, whilst the life path number is important, it's about the soul's lessons that you're here to learn in this lifetime to grow and evolve from. The number I would look at for your career first would be the expression number. Why? Because that shares with us the traits and skills you've brought with you for this lifetime. So let's move on and see what skills the 7 has. The 7 is the thinker, the sage, mystical, logical, analytical, the investigative, intuitive, highly spiritual. The 7's about certainty. You're seeking and searching the truth, your truth. And when you understand this, chances are this is what you will master in. This energy is about trust and faith, and many people with a strong number, whether that be their life path, their expression, their heart's desire, even their personal year, explain that whilst connected to that energy, they have issues with trust and faith. The 7 has this, and you've come with this because it's in your expression number. Have trust in yourself that all the answers lie within, and have faith that you're doing what you're supposed to do and that the universe has your back. Let's take a look at the strengths. The strengths of the 7 is you're analytical, a researcher, insightful, meticulous, intellectual, contemplative, introspective, noble, aristocratic, observant, inquisitive, independent, and deep. Deep in your research, in your reflection, and you can be deep in your relationships when you're not being emotionally closed. Talking of that, let's take a look at the flip side. The flip side of the 7 energy is you can be seen as cynical, defensive, skeptical, a pessimist, secretive. I want to stop at secretive. Be mindful of secrecy. It causes so much mistrust and disconnection, and here's where trust issues lie. You may be investigating something because the 7 is the seeker and searcher. You will be looking into many things. Then just clear the air and say that you need some alone time, and this is what you're doing. If you're secretive in relationships, people will begin to think that either you're too good for them or they're not good enough for you. So just bear in mind about being secretive. You can be untrusting, mistrust, tactless, opinionated, aloof, moody, fussy, emotionally closed, and withdrawn. The 7 gets lost in their head. They want to know and understand things. They're not the most emotionally open energy. Get the right relationship, and you could be. What's the right relationship? It will be a relationship that stimulates you spiritually and intellectually. Let's move on and take a look at you as a child. Chances are, as a child, you were one of those questioning childs. You know, the why, how, what, if, but, etc. If it wasn't that you were constantly asking questions, you possibly appeared quiet, doing a lot of observation. You possibly find the answer out on your own, or you'd grow attached to somebody you would go to, maybe a grandpa or an elder relative or a teacher or someone in the church. If things aren't in order, then you would question it. If you hadn't worked it out yourself, then you would question it. A good example of things about order is Albert Einstein. Now, whilst Albert had a 7, it wasn't his expression number. It was his heart's desire, which is still a key player. Apparently, so I read, Albert did not speak until the age of 5. He was at the dinner table, presented with some soup, and when he tasted it, he said, "The soup is hot." These were the first words he uttered, and his parents said, "How comes you've not spoke before?" His answer was, until now, everything was in order. Now, I can understand some of this because in my house, I had a child well, I still have a child, but one of my children has a 7 expression. At the meal table, it had to have the same place, the same plate, the same beaker, the same knife, the same fork, etc., because he wanted these things to be in order. The 7 needs to know and understand not just one perspective, but many. I don't mean on everything, but if there is something they're inquiring, they'll probably ask you A, B, and possibly A, B, and C questions just to see it from a number of perspectives. They need to understand all of it. You may have enjoyed the library or being read to as a child, but once you learn to read, the books were yours, and you may have found yourself on a computer watching videos on how to, learning, and using the internet to investigate. Parents were often stunned, teachers even, by the types of questions and the knowledge that you had. Often, perhaps you were said, an old head on young shoulders. Wise beyond your years, that's what I was thinking of. As a child, you may have questioned authority. And again, I go back to this particular child of mine who did question authority, especially at school, argued over the uniform, and valid reasons as well. Also, when it come to taking the exams to go on to college, when I would say, what can we do to up your grades? The reply was, I only need this to get there. Why would I waste my time doing anything else when I'd rather be doing this? In his case, it was video games. He got the grades he needed. He went on to college. He has done amazing financially since leaving college. And so all my worries and fears were released when he proved to me that he didn't need to be top at everything just to do what he needed to do for him. 7s don't like to waste their time. The 7s avoid risk. They're due diligent, they do a lot of research and information. But when I say avoid risk, they don't like to over-assert themselves in sport or do labour type things. So career-wise, you're not going to be somebody in a labour field unless it lights you up, and that will be due to some of the other numbers that you have. The 7 prefers logic, mind, thought, planning, strategy, like chess. Parents need to arrange hobbies and social activities, extra curriculum to get the 7s out of doing certain things, to give them variety so that they can open up and expand to see where it is that they want to go, because they can remain very focused on one area and miss out their true destiny. The 7s are born loners and can often hide away. So having the parent that got you out, or reminding yourself that you do need to get out and connect. And I'll come on to that a little bit later. Now, whether it is as a young child or as you go into the teenage years, you may have felt different. You may have had imaginary friends or a way to connect or understand. The 7 energy can be highly psychic and very spiritual. Now, this can be fun for a short while, but as you grow up, it feels different because not many people have this understanding or this ability that you have, and many 7s will squash this for a while, but later on it may rear its head and you could well move into some spiritual aspect career-wise. As a teenager, you would have enjoyed logical games, whether they be board, computer, video arcades, on the phone. You love music or understand how music's made, books and watching videos, feeding and expanding your mind. Often a 7 can lose themselves, forget all time and space, go endless hours without eating and block out all distractions, noise or whatever's going on around them. This is why the 7 is more connected to spirit than any number, because they spend a lot of the time in the moment. Great for meditation and great again for having insights and aha moments. You know, science can only prove what has already come forward as what's the word I'm looking for? What one is spiritually investigating. We then use the academic, the science, to prove that this exists. This is some of the skills that the 7 has. Now the 7 can be social, although they like their alone time, but it's on the 7's terms. Not always a big crowd, more likely a small gathering. When there, you can be humorous, connecting and fun, but when you're ready to go, it's time to go. You don't want to overstay, and if the conversation or what's going on isn't stimulating you in any way, shape or form, then chances are it's an early night for you. Ever the observer, you possibly sit back and listen to many conversations. Rarely will you put yourself forward unless you're confident in what it is, and then you're more than happy to lead the way. Generally though, you'd leave that for somebody else to do. The 7 is quality conscious, looking for the perfect answers, looking for the answers that gives you that aha moment. The 7 seldom like change. They know what they like and they stick with it. This could cause them to miss out on other things. So every so often, kick yourself up the butt and do something different. Explore, wear a different colour, go to a different shop, take a different route. The 7 needs to get away from doing what they know. Otherwise, how can they learn and expand? Let's move on to the adult. As an adult, you're dedicated to understanding what you want to understand. Not necessarily what everybody else wants you to understand, but what you want. You need to have that buy-in. When you've chosen your field, you can go very far and reap financial and academic rewards. The chances are the fields that you would go far in would be finance, the technical, technology, spiritual, or perfecting something. That something could be anything from food, furniture, buildings, or marine life. It's vast, but it's knowing what drives your passion. Understanding this, you'll go on to attract a position of expertise. And this is where the guru comes in, because once you know your topic, if anybody wants to know an answer on that, everyone will say, go and speak to number 7. I was going to say 007, but it's not. It's go speak to number 7. So the 7s accept nothing on the spot. They need to validate and investigate. If they're told something, they won't take it from one source. They'll probably go and do several. I want to say, just be mindful of how many sources that you need, because it can stop you making a decision. People that are stuck in this energy, I often say, give yourself a certain time or a certain amount, and then use that information. Yes, you can improve on it later on, but just do it to get you forward to the next stage. In communication, the 7 can be quite direct. They say what it is. They're polite about it. They just don't add a lot of fluff into the conversation. A 7 prefers to work independently, not necessarily alone, but as long as you've got independence in whatever it is that you are doing. You prefer not to take sides, but if you are pushed to do this, you will argue the case quite dogmatically, abruptly, and not give in until you've won. When balanced, you're great visionaries. When it comes to make a decision, you'll often take the first one, even though you've done the investigation, because you have a sixth sense. This is the intuition. You have it there naturally, and you can excel more if you open up and move yourself down into your heart and connect to source, and then back it up with your mind. Because you get so lost in things, you can become out of touch with reality. So this is where I said earlier, make sure you've got things set up in your schedule to get out and just change state, have a distraction, because it helps you get a new perspective. This is why children have recess at school. It changes state and a new perspective can come in. Because we get because a 7 gets fixated on whatever it is they're doing, they can be classed as quite eccentric, or a guru. Seems to be given many labels. Wear them with pride. It's just that you are focused on something, and many others are envious of this. Now, I said earlier you can get lost in the task, and I mean this not just in childhood when you're playing or researching something, but also in adulthood. And while you're lost in your business or your concept or your research paper or whatever it is that you are doing, perhaps things that slip through your mind are relationships and finances. So bear this in mind, get a system in place, set up your direct debits, make sure everything is going to go out, and make sure that you've got a shopping day for buying your groceries. And remember, if you have a spouse or a partner, give them the time. Find what they're interested in, share with what you're interested in, and have meaningful conversations. Many sevens have psychic and paranormal capabilities. When you can learn to use this, you can turn your world around. Now, in relationships, you can be closed, moody, and quite melancholy. It can be hard to love you, so find a way to open up, really connect. There's a great book, The 5 Love Languages, well worth getting to you and your partner to take a read and work out where you are, and remember to connect on those levels. A 7 needs someone that will stimulate their intellect or look after them and take care of the financials, not necessarily bring in the money, but make sure the bills are paid and to care for them. When a 7 is really cared for, I said they're deep, they can be very loving and connected. Let's take a look at some of the careers a 7 can find themselves in. Okay, careers. You love subjects of the mind or spirit. Anything in law, science, finance, technical, education, or spiritual. Breaking this down further, within law, you could be a judge, lawyer, investigator, lawmaker, detective, fire chief, or a reporter. Within the science, mining, electrical and botanical, could be a psychiatrist, psychologist, psychotherapist, a professor in science, or a scientist in a number of formats, technical expert, programmer, engineer, computer programmer, system analysis, web designer, mathematician, something in aerospace, biomedicine, agriculture, an oceanographer, geologist, marine biology, underwater explorer, diver, doctor, surgeon, anything in IT. Within finance, accountant, auditor, tax, investments, loss adjuster, or insurance. Inventor. And while it can be inventor of machineries, it also can be jewellery, watches, clocks, wine, culinary, music. Good with gemstones, excavating, making. Education, editor, historian, professor, teacher, head principal, the dean, librarian, writer of analytical books, a museum curator or tour guide, or someone that deals in stately homes and royal heritage. Spiritual, a preacher, holistic, nutrition, dietitian, astrology, numerology, psychic, tarot, tea leaf reading, coffee grind reading, medium, philosopher, or therapist. There are so many career paths that you can take. Any form of engineering, any form of science, many teachings, and the building and understanding. I met a jeweller in Greece last year who had a strong 7, and he studied computer engineering, and he now uses it to make jewellery. So he's put 2 parts together. The 7 is good at this. So you might learn a number of things, and there'll come a point when you bring it all together. So if you don't know so soon, don't worry. If you want to get a deeper look into your own personal career, numerology and understanding, I do numerology readings, consultations and mentorships, and that will get you more focused. Bringing the life path and the expression number together will help you work out or break down, because there's a lot of jobs here, but you can take some of them out when you understand what your other numbers are, or you can be more focused when you understand what your other numbers are, which is why it's so worth knowing the whole of your numerology. As a 7, you are highly spiritual, you are connected to source, and you have got the ability to become a sage, a guru, a go-to, somebody for other people to turn to for guidance in your specialist field. You have the ability to create wealth and academic credit and be recognized. The 7 is a very powerful number, and while it may feel lonely and of solitude, it is not of loneliness and solo. You have the choice to join in. You prefer to be independent. That doesn't mean you want not to mix with people. And remember, you can be the life and soul of the party. I hope this makes sense. If it makes sense, why not share these videos with your partner, and why not watch your partner's video? Because there's nothing better than knowing and understanding who you're spending time with, whether that be colleagues at work or in your personal life. Another great number, and I've got a series on this. Let me start back. I just mentioned the life path. I do have a series on the life path, and again I will leave the link to the playlist in the description below. Another great number to understand is your personal year, because especially when we're thinking about careers, when's the right time to change, when's the right time to take time out, when's the right time to make the connections, etc. All the numbers have got different energy, so do go again and check out your personal year numbers, and the link is down below. If you've liked this video, give me a thumbs up. If you've not yet subscribed, please do, and press the bell for notifications. I'd love to stay in touch. Leave your comments below and connect with me. If my website isn't working properly, leave a message in the comments below and we can find a way to connect. And remember, if you really want to live your best life, because after all, it's your life, LYFE, love yourself first every day. Being in the right career, being in the right place at the right time, following your heart's desire and learning your soul's lessons will help you understand the designer lifestyle that you created before you arrived on this planet. It's been great connecting. Until the next time, take care.